pumping information out there that nobody wants, well, I don't know what your expectation would be, but it would be kind of difficult to expect people to engage.
We have the company Naturals Fund. That company was created by my father 20 years ago already. So somewhere, it was in Puerto Rico, and it was in the year, I think 1999 or so, that he created this company, and it's a weight loss company. Shortly after, he created what he calls a metabolism test. And it was one of the first online things that it was incredible, because you were able to go into a link, and he used television ads and everything that he could to promote this particular metabolism test as a lead generation. So in 1999, he launched this, and for a solid 15 years, we were accumulating leads, maybe 17 years. People from television, from newspapers, everybody was being sent to this particular link. They would do their metabolism tests, and they would get a result, and now we had a lead, and then we had the consultants call them to try to get an appointment for them to come to the clinics, and that was a great system for us. I mean, we promoted, and we got probably close to 1 million leads over the years, and on different countries, because this also being positioned early enough in the internet world, people would Google things on the subject of metabolism in Mexico, and they would find this particular metabolism test. So it became a lead gen worldwide for us. So along the years, I think somewhere along the line where you were going to help us, we started creating Infusionsoft accounts for some of these big accounts. Yes. And we imported, we actually got an Infusionsoft account with, we gather all these leads from 17 years, all of them. And we put them on Keep, which is Infusionsoft still.
Yeah, converting into Keep, yes.
Converting to Keep, all right? So we got all those leads, and then I had my guys like, look, I said, well, the money's in the list, isn't it? We got 1 million people on a list. So let's start communicating to them. And we started doing that, and our open rates were absolutely terrible. And I'm talking about 4 to 5%. Now, some of these people had given us their email address in 1999, 2002, right? These are at AOL emails, at Yahoo emails that, like some of these guys have never even opened up again. I know. Earthlink, etc. So we started emailing them, and the truth of what happened to us, Dave, is that, that I said the word shut down. We were kicked out of Infusionsoft. We were kicked out, all right? So I don't know if you've seen that before, but in our case, it became real. We got penalized, and even though we were paying them a huge amount of money because it was a big list, they say, we don't want you on our system. We don't want you, get out. And I said, wait a second, we're just giving value. It didn't matter. We were just emailing a lot of people that maybe had not even heard about us in 10 years, and we were expecting, it's almost like we bought a list. Even though it was our list, our identities, people that we generated along the years, they weren't connected with us anymore. So it's something that could happen if you don't have a list that is really into what your message is, or they're not aware of it. So what are a few best practices that you can give, Dave, in the subject of how do you communicate, when do you communicate, how often do you communicate on email, and how do we go about getting all this set up?
Sure, great question. So let's start with what you're really good at, which is lead generation and engaging people on chat, right? When they engage with you on chat, and then you ask for their name and their email so that you can deliver something of value to them, you're now engaged in the first step of the customer journey, right? You have an interaction with them, and now they're in your game. So now it's a really important time to understand that customer. Why did they connect with you? And then, move them through into a nurture list to keep providing value. And I got to tell you, Manuel, you provide so much value, what we like to call value in advance, before ever asking for a sale. I mean, ultimately, you are in a business, I'm in business, so eventually there should be a sale in there. There should be no expectation that you never ask for a sale. If there is, then, that's a whole different story. The pitch was wrong. But as far as getting the email list, so I'm going to take a little sideways here and tell you what's considered a cold email. Okay, the industry standard is kind of 90 days, believe it or not. If you haven't engaged with your customer and they haven't opened your emails, it's 90 days. If they haven't communicated with you in 90 days, the turnover is so high right now, and it's so fast. You don't have a person on your email list for years. You literally have 90 days before they're probably going to get stuck into the spam box. And
That's great.
Some other,
let me just make that point right there. That's an important, very practical point. What I did in the story that I just said a couple of minutes ago was terribly wrong. All right, and I had this delusion.
There was no way to know.
Yeah, I really had a delusion that I was going to get somebody that gave me their information 7 years ago to be interested in the program today. And I ended up paying the price for that. And I got penalized by the platform. So 90 days. So whatever your system is that you use, whether you use Constant Contact, MailChimp, ActiveCampaign, Infusionsoft, Klaviyo, whatever that may be, 90 days is a great standard for you guys to keep. Anything above 90 days, I know that Dave and we talked about that. You have to work on re-engaging them outside of email through social media, which is something that you can do now in this environment. You can plug in your list of people that have not been active in the last 90 days with you, and just bring them back into your channel. All right. Didn't mean to interrupt. I just want to make sure that we stand out on those important things.
It's exactly right. It's part of what you have to do. You have to consider a retargeting campaign, and we can get into more about that just after this. But when you're talking about email deliverability, you have to play the game. And you talked about being in the game earlier in our conversation today, and if you treat it like it's a game, because it does have rules. I mean, it has legal rules and it has ethical rules, and it has kind of social rules around it. And so if you're just pumping information out there that nobody wants, well, I don't know what your expectation would be, but it would be kind of difficult to expect people to engage. But if somebody comes in and then chooses one particular product of yours, and they say, hey, I'm interested in this product, and then you switch it up and start talking about something completely irrelevant to what they engaged with, they're not likely to open your stuff. So it's super important. When I say humanize, and I use it because it's a nice term to use, because everybody wants to be spoken to like a human, right? We don't want to. I want to talk with you. I don't want someone to to talk at me. I just want to have a nice conversation with people, even in email. And so when somebody raises their hand and said, "Hey, I'm interested in coaching level 1," we work with you. And so what we do is we talk about coaching level 1, right? Or we talk about email deliverability, or we talk about that one subject. And then only after we're completely satisfied that we have great value to that one subject do we move on to any other subject. Because if we switch too soon, if we change up the conversation too fast and try to sell, all of a sudden we're like, hey, I thought you were going to engage with me, and all you want to do is sell me stuff. Well, I was interested in your knowledge, and I don't mind paying for it, but let me warm up, because we know one thing, that we have to build this triangle. It's called the know, like, and trust triangle, right? We know we have to close that in order to get a sale. So we have to spend this time nurturing. And we talked about earlier, think about it. There's so many people trying to do email automation today that you have to be better than the rest of your competition. And better means connecting with that customer, connecting with them with what they're interested in, not what you want to sell them. The sale will come if you're good at what you do. It always does to the people. It always comes. Rushing it is bad.
You want to give them solutions to their problems they're trying to handle. You want to give them that value, right?
Here's why I say humanizing, because I always come back to this. When you and I are having a person-to-person conversation, and you come to me, you say, hey, Dave, how you doing? I'm well. And I said, oh, I'm Dave. Hey, I heard you do this stuff. And you're, yeah, I do this. And what are you interested in? And I said, oh, well, I'm having this trouble with my ManyChat. Oh, ManyChat? And then what are you going to talk to me about, right? You're going to talk to me about ManyChat. You're not going to talk to me about YouTube ads or, Facebook. You're going to talk to me about ManyChat, right? That's natural. That is so natural in a conversation. It's really important that you try to bring that to the email conversation, or even any social conversation.
Right. So listen to this.
Used car.
Yeah. So this is a gold right here. This is an absolute golden nugget. If you think about, there's two words here that are not necessarily supposed to be used together, and we're trying to use them together. And those two words are humanizing and automation. All right.
Yeah. Exactly.
How do you humanize something that is automated? It's a challenge, and it's a marketing challenge. What I like to say on my content is that, and this is something that I mean, and I'm always really pushing on this particular point. When you're trying to get customers, when you're trying to give people enough value to bring them into a customer journey, you got to realize that what you're trying to do is earn yourself a right to make them offers. If you do not have enough energy, value that you're giving to them, you have not earned the right to make them offers. That's just the way it is. I know it sounds a little cliche-ish, and everybody says, oh, you got to give value, but you got to understand that your business has a superpower. You have something that you can help people with. I'm here with Dave Royce today because he has a superpower. His ability, when I sit down with him and he talks about email marketing and he talks about creating this funnel and he talks about driving people down a journey, I listen because he has the ability to teach and provide that value. Because of that, I keep on giving him business. When it comes to marketing, people give me a lot of money because I have a superpower to show them exactly how to capture attention so they can generate sales. Whatever your business is, you have an ability. If you have, for example, a beauty brand that you're selling cosmetics, well, you have the ability to show people how to look and feel beautiful. And that's an important ability. So you want to show people a roadmap for accomplishing exactly that. The only way that you can avoid going through that route that Dave and I describe of providing that value and building a conversation and humanizing your marketing and providing that education on a particular subject is if you have a very unique and revolutionary product that nobody else has. If your name is not Elon Musk, if your name is not Steve Jobs, if your name is not any of these guys, and you don't have unique products that are very simply not existent anywhere but still have a demand, then you want to make sure that you stand out. And that's about 99% of us. That's what we have. We have products that have a lot of competition, that have a lot of people that are doing similar things to us, that are out there in the world trying to see how the heck they stand out. And the way that you stand out is by humanizing your marketing. And on email, if you want to make sure that you have something valuable, that people are actually opening up those emails and looking up to getting the next message and seeing what you have to say now, that's part of the process. You have to give that value. And I love what Dave said, that if they came to learn about ManyChat, this is something that I am guilty of myself. Dave knows that. He can probably tell a couple of horror stories of helping me with my email line right now. But the thing is that I have so much content and I'm so passionate about it, Dave, that I want to give people everything. ManyChat. And do you have an Amazon? Let me show you how to rank on Amazon. Shopify? I got that for you too. Oh, you want to do leads? Yeah, we got leads too, right? All that stuff. So we have so much content and so much value and I'm such a believer in all of it that I get desperate and I want to give it to everybody. But if you do that, you lose people along the way because first of all, it's too much for them to take in. And second of all, that's not what they came for. You're not solving the problem that they came to address. And that's what you need to handle. That's why, it's like, would you say, Dave, that this is something that requires that upfront for the automation process, setting up the campaigns, it requires a lot of energy and time to put into that. But once you set it all up, it's just maintaining and keeping it alive and adjusting and editing along the way.
I can tell you, without automation, your worst nightmare is success.
Let's analyze that statement. That's a big one.
Sure.
Without automation,
Yep.
Without automation, your worst nightmare is success.
Sure,
Absolutely, right?
Yeah.
So here's an example of that. On Natural Slim 2020, we have absolutely exploded. COVID-19 was an absolute blessing for the company, not for the world, destructive for the world. But for the company blew up in a big way. We weren't set up in a lot of ways, particularly shipping. And you see, for example, a lot of companies that have struggled in those areas. So what Dave is saying is that if you see massive success, if you don't have automation in place, it becomes an absolute nightmare that you cannot deliver on whatever your products and services are. Correct, Dave?